Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. Come spend some time with me today, and Andy should be back soon. I don't know exactly what all he's got to do today, but this morning I am out here picking through my tomatoes that have seen better days. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them yet. I may just make some tomato juice today. Or some salsa. I don't know. I haven't decided. I haven't crossed that bridge yet. But I do want to get most of them picked. I still got some green ones out here. I'm just going to let it hang on for a little while longer. As you've heard us say in other videos, our tomatoes have seen better days. We've had better years, but the last two, it has turned into this. So I think next year we're probably going to move where we're planting our tomatoes. I'm running into a lot of this, which is still usable as long as I use it like today. And that. But I mean, considering the way the plants look, I'm not surprised that they look this way. Probably gonna pick some of these big orange ones and just let them, I'm just gonna let these ripen in the house so nothing else gets to them. They've got some cracks, but they're healed over, so that should be okay. Well, I got them picked. Not too impressive for how many that I've got planted out here. But, you know, the Lord's blessed me though. I've had enough to make 3 batches of my spaghetti sauce. I made a big batch of salsa the other day. You know, he provides, so I'm not complaining about these tomato plants. I've still got some out here to pick. I'm just gonna have to kind of stay on them. If not, they will end up like that. They're not rotting because I'm not picking them. This is part of it. Like this one got sun scald because the plant died, and that ain't no good. That's gonna rot. That's kind of what's happened to a lot of these. You win some, you lose some, but I'm still counting this as a win because I still got as many as I needed. All right, so for our tomato juice, I'm gonna break out my big pot because actually I filled up my sink with the tomatoes that I had picked, so that's pretty good. I had a few more than I thought, but some of them are not quite ripe, and I won't be using those. So, what I like to do for tomato juice, you don't add anything to the pot. You'll see some of my older videos where I tell you to add some water to the bottom of the pot, but I've learned so much from, you know, y'all on YouTube through your comments and emails and things, how some of you do it, and I've started doing it this way. But first we're going to get our core out of our tomato. I'm just going to cut him in half. Don't worry about cutting them up too small. Now last year when my tomatoes did like they're doing now, when we planted those late suckers like y'all saw Andy do the other day, prettiest tomato vines I ever had. I mean, at least for last year anyway. They really were. They really did good. But don't worry about peeling them or nothing, because we're going to run them through a, what's it called, a food mill. But see, some of those are orange. They ain't going to be good for juice. This one's about not ripe enough for juice. But it'll be all right. I got time today. I got time to make it. So that's what we're going to do. Don't worry about getting a whole lot of that core out if you can't get it all. It don't matter. It's all good. And this little coring tool, I had somebody send me this last year, and it works like a charm. I'm too frugal and hard-headed to have bought myself one. I'd seen people use them, and somebody sent me one, and I really appreciate that. I've really put that thing to good use between the tomatoes and the strawberries. So I'm going to muddle my way through these, and I'll show you what we're going to do next.
So I'm going to move my potatoes down to the other building down here, and they'll be backed under, way up under a shelter where it's hard to get sunlight and stuff in there, and it'll be a lot better place to keep them. We've sold quite a few. Let me pull back here and show you. There's still plenty in here though. But what we're running into is, y'all remember me telling you that those ones with bad spots would end up turning rotten. Look at there. I have threw away so many out of here. Right there's another one that's getting ready to go. So while I've been selling these, I've had to really pay attention to what's in here and throw out the bad ones, because, man, there's a lot of bad ones back here today. What I have learned from past experience is if you have a potato rot, and it's against a good potato, well, it'll make the good potato rot too. So you don't want to leave them in there if you can help it. I think I'm going to go through these before I actually put them up. And the reason I've left them out here, they've been up here now it's been a few days since we dug them. But it was just easy access to them. So at this point, we still have some sold. I just don't know when the people are going to come pick them up. So I'm going to go put them down there where they're going to stay for probably at least a month or so until we actually put up our ones that we keep for winter. Golly. See, look at that. But any of y'all who might have questioned me throwing away some of them rotten potatoes while we was up there working in the field, I mean, I think this right here is a good representation of why I threw them away, because this is what happens. And still, apparently, like, we missed a bunch. Because I have threw away so many potatoes. I mean, now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of nice potatoes in here too. But I threw away a bunch. And I think that something like this happens every year where we have some that rot after we pick them up. And I think that's another good reason to keep them somewhere separate from where you're actually going to store them at. Because it gives, if there's one that's going to rot, it gives it time to rot.
Alright, they're all cut up and in my pot. Like I said a minute ago, I've actually got more than I thought I would have. So we're going to take my potato masher now. I just have cut on the heat, and we're just going to mash our tomatoes. You want a little liquid on the bottom so they don't try to stick to your pot. And also, if you're using stainless steel, one thing I like about these pots like I try to make sure I have heavy bottom pots, you know. It'll evenly distribute the heat and it won't stick so bad. You know, some of that stainless steel stuff, it wants to stick real bad. But if they got these heavy bottoms on, that helps a whole lot. But we'll let these simmer for a little bit on low heat. You don't want to crank it up because they will try to stick then if you have the heat too hot. But I got it on low heat. I'm going to let it simmer for a little bit. And then I'll show y'all what it looks like.
So I know it don't really come through that well on camera. The camera's picking up a lot more light than's actually back here. But this is actually a fairly dark hole. It doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight at all. So no sunlight shines directly in here. It's just kind of like outside light. So once I get them covered up with the burlap, they'll, for the most part, be good. So that's where the potatoes will live until we're done selling out of this trailer. And we're ready to actually put up what we're going to keep. I'll still be able to back my truck in here to keep the mowers and everything out of the weather. Just won't be able to back in quite as far with this sitting here. But anyways, I will mention one other thing. That's one thing I love about these tobacco trailers. I know the way I had the camera set up a while ago, you really couldn't see and hear what I was doing. But once I unhooked it, these things are balanced. And they're that way for a purpose, because back when you used to load them with tobacco, once you got back to the barn or whatever, even if you had a load of tobacco on this thing, no matter how heavy it was, a person could easily pick up the tongue. You could move it around or whatever by yourself, because the trailer was balanced. So it means you had no extra tongue weight and you had no extra back end weight. All the weight is centered on that axle. And so in turn, that makes it easy. Well, just like a while ago, I unhooked this trailer right here and was able to roll it back into here by myself. And it was no problem at all, even though it's halfway full of potatoes. And that's quite a bit of weight of potatoes in there. Now on the downside, these things don't pull good at all when you're going down like the road or something with them. But just as old farm trailers, they work perfect for stuff like this. Anyways, that's where they'll stay until we do something else with them. I guess that's the best way to put it. We get this truck and everything back in here, and I guess we'll move on to the next thing. It's my old sorry dog. Y'all know something? It's hard to beat a good dog. It really is. Ain't it, Tiger?
Just starting to come up. It's warming up. Not quite simmering yet, but you can see that juice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to let that simmer until those tomatoes just get soft and sloppy and like won't even hardly hold together on a spoon. Like that's the way you want them, because we're going to run them through that food mill. And you want them just plumb sloppy. But I would keep it stirred. I like to come stir it maybe every 4 or 5 minutes or so. I'll come and just give it a quick stir. Just again to be sure it don't stick to the bottom. Tomato juice is so simple, y'all. And it is so good. I love homemade tomato juice. I could just drink it by itself. But I do like to put a little extra salt in it. But I think that was a good use for my tomatoes today.
Alright, so me and Jacob have come down here to my daddy's place. And sitting behind us here is my daddy's old bulldozer. This bulldozer's been sitting now for, it's probably not actually been pushed with in at least 5 years, maybe longer than that. But as you can tell from the weeds growed up in it, it's been sitting here for it's been sitting right here in this exact location for at least 2, maybe 3 years. It may have been more like 6 or 7 years since this thing's actually pushed dirt. This is the bulldozer that I use to clear a lot of the land that's up at our house, what is now pasture. I've done every bit of it with this dozer right here. And then it developed an issue with the radiator, and we really haven't done a whole lot with it since then. So, what we've decided to do is we're going to try to fix it. Now, I've already put new batteries in it. We got it running the other day, so it should fire back up fairly easy. But when we went to lift the blade on it, we had a hose bust. And as you can see, I've got bags over the ends here. And actually, I just noticed we got a bad spot in that hose. Hopefully that one don't bust on us. But there's the new hose. I went and had one made. So in order for me to move it, I'm going to have to replace that hose, because that hose is what lifts the blade up. Without that hose, you can't move the thing unless you got the blade down. So we're going to work on putting that back on. We're going to get it fired back up, and then we're going to pull it up there in front of the garage door so we can take the radiator out of it. Hopefully, once we get this hose on, it'll move. But I was joking with Megan the other day. I was like, well, we've already got 2 batteries in it, which aren't cheap. This hose isn't cheap, and we hadn't even got to move it yet. But that's just the way it goes when you're fooling with old stuff like this. Because many of the, so I'll tell you what this is. This is a Caterpillar D6B. I know it says C, but it's not a C, it's a B. This is an old straight gear bulldozer. And you know, it's, for people around here, it's not uncommon to have an old bulldozer on your farm to help just, well, to do some clearing of overgrown stuff and manage ditches and stuff like that. And so, you know, a lot of the older farmers around here had a bulldozer. And so this was Daddy's, and like I said, just hadn't been used in a while. This is an old machine. If I had to guess, this thing's probably from the late 50s, but honestly, I don't know. I would have to look that up and see what years they made a D6B. But anyways, you need about 10 hands to drive this machine. We've already started on this like a couple years ago. We got the bars that run from the grill up to the cab there. We already took those off. All the hood and all the hood bolts and everything are already out of it. So once I get it moved up there, it's really not going to be that big a deal to get the radiator out. It's actually almost ready to come out. It's just got to get it moved up there to where it'll be more convenient to work on it.
So here we are, not too much longer later, maybe 20 minutes, and you can see this has really cooked down. See how that's all sloppy looking? The tomatoes are kind of falling apart. That is what I'm looking for. I'm gonna get out my baby pot, and we're gonna strain our tomato juice just right in there. If you didn't see it on my other video, this right here is called a food mill. This is I think they still make new ones of these, but these old ones, man, they're made a lot better, just like anything else. They really, I think they work better. But we're gonna dip out our tomato juice and we're gonna put it right in here. And the way this thing works, it pushes this all through a screen. So some seeds may make it through. That doesn't bother me, but the skin is the main thing. It's gonna, unless you drop it like that. But the pulp and everything, we're gonna put that in there, and then we're gonna spin it. Now, you can totally dehydrate these tomato skins if you want to. It's all personal choice. I'm gonna let my pigs enjoy mine. There we go. All I got left there is some skin. In my opinion, tomato juice or canned whole tomatoes is the easiest thing you can do with them. And it's versatile. My main use for tomato juice is soups, but I do drink it occasionally. I think I like the saltiness of it. You can also make tomato soup in a similar fashion. I made a video last year on making tomato soup. I'll share that in the description. But I made enough last year that I don't have to worry about making more this time. And you know, there's no exact measurements on this tomato juice. Use what tomatoes you got. There's no recipe or anything. Just use what you got. And if y'all hadn't already, if y'all missed it, I've been working on a website. And it's a work in progress. Not all the links work just yet, but I'm slowly adding stuff to it a little bit at a time. You know, a couple of things. I have an events page, which the only event we have coming up at this very moment that I know for sure is in Jemison, Alabama at Petals from the Past, the Great Fall Garden Festival. We're excited to be there. And that's on September the 20th. But there's also and then there's a recipes tab that is definitely a work in progress. Because it, you know, stuff like this, it takes time because Megan's hard-headed and Megan's not going Megan's doing it all herself. Instead of getting somebody to do it for me, which I probably should do, but I'm slowly but surely working on that. You can go there and download my 10 favorite recipes from, you know, celebrating 100,000 subscribers. And you can also, I have a Shop Our Favorites tab, and you can go there. And I'm slowly listing things that you see us use here, like our noise makers for the deer. Down to, I've had several questions about the sandals that I wear. The sandals. Our Hoss affiliate link. Some of my discount codes. You can find all that under Shop Our Favorites if you're interested in any of that.
I get these, I've got these bags zip tied on here. And that's pretty much to keep water and looks like we caught a little bit of hydraulic fluid. But that's to keep the water from getting in and the hydraulic fluid from leaking out all over the ground. And to keep any bees or anything from getting in there while I was getting the line made. I think as we explained in the video of when we showed y'all the land we purchased, you know, I'm not out to clear the whole 9 acres, but what my main goal with this thing is to help me clear up all the brushy stuff that used to be filled. And I might clear me a trail down through the woods to where I can possibly run a fence in the future. But that'll be it. The rest of the stuff, I want to leave all the big trees. Probably clear out a bunch of the little stuff that's around those big trees.
Alright, so last step is we're going to get this back on the stove. We're going to crank our heat up this time. We want this to get good and hot and let it simmer like 15 minutes, something like that. Look how good this worked out. It always tickles me when something works out just perfect like this. So every bit that I had in my big pot fit perfectly back into my little pot.
So I put in one end of the hose. Already got it bolted up. Left it loose though, so this end I could still be able to move it around pretty easy. Because these hoses were, it's made out of, you know, a new hose. It's not contoured yet to fit this dozer. And so getting everything lined up, even though it's not that hard, it's still good to leave everything loose. Man, it's thundering. We may not be able to work on this thing long.
Maybe we could get it up to the shop and then like we could work on it for a little bit.
That's my goal. And I'm probably not going to actually work on it today. I ain't going to pull the radiator out or nothing. I just want to get it moved up there. There we go. While I was, before I figured out whether I was going to try to work on this thing or not, I'd done a little bit of research on Facebook and really considered buying something to push with. Now, it probably wouldn't have been a machine as big as this one because they're all out of my price range. But, you know, I kind of added up if I hired somebody what it was going to cost me, you know, because I can roughly guess how many hours or days it's going to take them to do what I need to be done. So I was like, you know, with that, I might would be better off to buy something of my own, and it would cost me about the same as what it's going to cost me to get the job done, and then I'd have a piece of equipment that I could use at any time else when I needed it. And y'all, I'm not going to lie, that still may be part of that may be what happens here, but I thought I'd give this whole thing a shot because I've cleared a lot of land with this thing right here, and it's already here. It just needs some work. But the bad thing is that radiator is not cheap. And, you know, being that it's set so long, there's no telling what else we may end up finding wrong with it. Of course, I think it's obvious. I love to run equipment, and I think there ain't nothing funner than running an old bulldozer, especially one like this one that's straight geared. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you get into some predicaments, this one will make you think. Like, because there's so many levers you got to operate this thing with. It ain't like a modern day bulldozer where you just got 2 joysticks. You've got a lot to do on this thing. But it's nice, you know, it's fun. I love to hear the engine run. I love to hear the engine pull down. It's just something about it that I can't really explain. That's one cool thing about these old Caterpillars. They can sit for years, and you can get on them and fire them up and be ready to roll. You might run into stuff like this, but they'll be ready to roll. A quick story that my daddy told me about a guy. He went and bought a bulldozer from a man, and they said a tree had done growed up between the blade and the bulldozer itself, and said that tree was probably that big around. Well, they went and cut the tree out and got it out of the way, and they was aimed to just take and roll it and drag it over to the lowboy they was going to haul it on. Well, the guy just, you know, for the fun of it, said, well, let me pull the throttle down here, and we'll just try to roll it off before we do that. You can't ever tell, it might crank. Said that thing had been sitting there for that long. I think it was an old Caterpillar D6 too, if I can remember right. It might have been a D4, but I think it was a D6. But said that they pulled the throttle down, popped the clutch on it, and as soon as them tracks started turning over, it started firing, and they was able to drive that thing up on the trailer. And it'd been sitting there long enough for a tree that big around to grow up between the blade and the tracks. So I think stuff like that's pretty cool. You're not going to do that with a modern day piece of equipment. It's just no way. But this old stuff can just sit, and it's ready to go. All right, we need to pour some hydraulic fluid in it and turn the fuel on. I think we'll be ready to try it out.
All right, we've come to a good boil simmer here, and it's been doing it for several minutes. So I'm ready to go ahead and get this in our jars. I don't know exactly yet how much I'm going to have, but we shall see. But the first thing you're going to want to do, I don't guess you have to do this, but good practice. This is the way I was taught to do it anyway. All that foam that comes on the top like that, just go ahead and scrape that off. There we go. Ain't usually a whole lot on there. For my tomato juice, I like to put a couple of teaspoons of salt in there. That's just personal preference. I like the taste of it with extra salt in it. It's not gonna hurt anything. Heck, you ain't gotta put salt in it if you don't want to. anything you read is going to tell you to put a teaspoon of salt per quart of tomato juice. But, like I said, I like a little extra. So, this right here is Redmond's Real Salt. It's just plain non-iodized salt. That's what you use in any canning, plain salt. That's what canning salt is plain salt. You just don't want iodized salt because it can change the color and probably can also change the taste of your finished product. So, tomato juice in the jars. And I mean, if you're going to do this, this is kind of one of those moments, do as I say, not as I do. If you're going to do it this way, you better make sure it's hot. I mean, it's hot, hot.
See if I can do this without making a mess.
I always thought that was the fuel tank, but then now
No, the fuel tank's right behind you.
Yeah, I forgot that. I forgot about that.
Well, if it ain't enough, we'll just have to get more before it comes time to really run it.
Is it enough?
Not move yet.
Oh.
Nope.
Is it not?
Hopefully it's enough to move everything now.
Oh my gosh, how much does it take?
Well, all I know is it blowed a whole lot out on my truck. And I think it leaks too. So, anyways, it should be enough to get it moving. Hopefully.
Are we ready to crank it up?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand right here.
Yeah, get out of the way, that's for sure, in case another hose blows.
Yeah.
Let's see what she's gonna do. Have to heat it. It started to fire. This thing right here, you have to heat, because it won't fire unless you heat it.
Is it like one of them old Kubotas?
Yeah.
Almost.
Acts like it don't want to run right.
I know.
Sounded like it tried to skip for a minute. It fired right up the other day, didn't it?
It went like trum, 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 trum. Look at the smoke rings.
Huh?
There's smoke rings blowing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Must have got some more air in it. I'm gonna let the thing sit there and run for just a few minutes and warm up before I try to move it. And then we'll make sure the blade's gonna lift up, and it'll be the first time it's moved in at least 2 years, but I think it's probably been more like 3 years. Maybe even 4 years, I don't know. You know how you lose track of time.
So I ended up making 4 quarts and a pint. So I feel like that's pretty good. It takes several tomatoes to make tomato juice, but that's okay. I love the homemade tomato juice, the store-bought stuff, just like anything else. No comparison. And I want to show you one more thing. I left a jar up here. Here is my grape juice after sitting. It's been sitting a couple days now. So, see how it's turned a beautiful purple color? I also made us some to just stick in the fridge. I can't remember if I showed that on the video or not. But me and Maggie have been drinking it, and it is superb. Superb. So I am really looking forward to having this, and I've got more grapes out there that are ready. So I'm still going to be swimming through grapes. I'm not going to make it to my salsa today. I hope I can show y'all that on the next video. I really want to show y'all the salsa before I run out of tomatoes, because it is so good.
It moves!
It does it!
I don't see no leaks either. Heck yeah. Let's see if I can remember how to run this thing. I'm gonna leave it sitting here running for just a few minutes. When I was talking about we had an issue with the radiator, it's not really, like if it's just running, it won't overheat, but when you get to working it, the radiator's like stopped up and it'll end up causing it to overheat. But I'm gonna let it run and see if it'll somewhat clear up, because it seems to me like the longer it's run, the better it's running. And what my plan is for the radiator is we got a local radiator shop and we've already talked to them about it. So we're going to take the radiator to them and see if they can't fix that radiator, because golly, if we had to buy a brand new radiator for that thing, we might as well go buy another machine, because that would be expensive. However, I think the one that's in there can be fixed. Man, once it got broke loose from the ground, it moves no problem. Not long ago, Daddy replaced all them sprockets. Well, I say not long ago. It's been a while now, but it hadn't been run much at all since then. And I think we put a new clutch in it right after Daddy bought it, which has been, shoot, I was probably Jacob's age when Daddy bought this thing. But anyways, other than this radiator, as far as I know, it's mechanically in decent shape. It just needs to be run, so it would, clean it out. Since this is a pretty good stopping point, I'm not going to take the hood and all that off of it just yet, because we don't really want it to get rained on. But anyways, one step closer to being able to start on that land up there. I'm still waiting on my guy to come and mark our corners though. I'm going to have to call him and see if we can't put a fire under him and get on up there and get it done, because I really want to know exactly where my lines are, and he hadn't come yet. So anyways, we'll see how that goes.
You wouldn't want to drive that thing in the yard.
No, it'd tear your yard all to pieces,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? Yep, look at them tracks.
One of them old steel tractors in the yard.
Yeah, it'd be tear your yard up too, wouldn't it?
You might as well just use those. What are them things called that they dig into the ground and put?
Like an aerator.
Yeah.
That'd be about like using one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just it'd make bigger holes.
I'm just tickled we got it moved.
Me too.
That's the longest amount of time it's run, and well, you ain't never seen it run much, have you, Jake?
Yeah, the last time I saw it run was when we moved it from up here to down there.
Oh, so you don't remember me ever doing any pushing with it?
No.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so it might have been longer than I thought since it was really used.
I do not remember this thing pushing none.
But the next project will be getting that hood off and pulling the radiator out, which will have to be done with a tractor because that radiator is heavier than what a man is going to pick up by himself. At least heavier than what I'm going to pick up by myself. But anyways, I guess that's it with the bulldozer today. It didn't storm like we thought it was going to.
It came like a 5-second shower.
Yeah, now the sun's back out. I don't know. I guess that storm just fell apart. But man, it looked like it was fixing to hit us hard.
Well, the good news is everything's fed.
Yeah, we got everything fed. I'll tell you what, I'm tickled to death that I got that dozer moved.
I know you are. You've been worried about that.
I don't know why.
So now what? So now what's next? The radiator?
Yeah, we had to pull the radiator out, take it to the radiator shop, and get them to redo the radiator.
Oh, so you can't just buy a radiator?
Oh, yeah, we can. But you want to know how much one costs?
How much?
The last time I looked and checked, a brand new radiator from Caterpillar was about $5,000.
$5,000.
The machine ain't worth $5,000.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
No wonder it's just been sitting there.
It'll cost, unless it's changed since we've had it priced, it'll cost about a fifth of that to have this one fixed.
I see now.
So
I got you.
But once that radiator's fixed, as far as I know, it should be.
Wasn't there something wrong with the
pretty good.
tracks or something though, I thought? Or did y'all fix that way back when that happened?
Sometimes when you're running it, one of the tracks will come loose, and you gotta watch it.
Oh, okay.
You
I
gotta
just
keep them
remember.
tight.
I have a faint memory of something about a track.
Yeah, we run a track off down here on this side of this hill down
Maybe
here.
that's what it was.
And if you don't watch it, if you get to running sideways on a hill with that one, you'll run a track off.
I got you.
And surprisingly, it's actually not that bad to put a track back on.
It sounds.
You would think it would be terrible.
It sounds intimidating.
But as long as you don't run the track completely off of it, now if you did that, you'd have a mess on your hands. But as long as you don't run the track completely off of it, it's not that big a deal to fix it. But I guess that's going to about wrap it up for today's video, ain't it?
Yep. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope you might have learned a little something. Hopefully I can show salsa soon, but not today. I've been asked that on a hot date, so I'm going to take it.
On a hot date to the Mexican restaurant.
But anyways, guys, till we see y'all on the next one.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.